Welcome back. We are here with Indy Reads Aloud. This is our fourth season. I'm so excited. Back to do more fun story time sharing. Again, Jean Davis is back with us again. I am so excited to have you on the program. We always have such a good time together.
We do.
Thanks for putting up with my silliness. Really. It's just
You put up with
me.
mine, so it's equal.
Well, I love it when people read out loud to me and
Tell me a
you're
story.
you're one of the adults in my life, and I say this as a recovering 6-year-old, but you're one of the adults in my life who don't look at me weird when I say, "Will you read to me?" It's really nice. So, for those of you who have not yet met Jean, she writes in an array of speculative fiction, including short stories, space opera series, standalone novels, and children's picture books about chickens.
See, you do the same thing I do. Children,
You
chicken,
do.
it's
Yeah,
interchangeable.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. Okay, cool. When taking a break from fictional people, she spends time with her musical husband, a small flock of ducks and chickens, and an attention-craving terrier. Occasionally, she ventures outside her home in West Michigan to play in her flower garden, visit the local breweries, and eat gluttonous amounts of sushi. Now, I gotta tell you, here's a question I've been wanting to ask you for some time, and I don't think we've ever had this conversation, and that is, which are less maintenance to keep, ducks or chickens?
Chickens.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. The ducks need room to wander. They didn't want a free range. They want to go everywhere. They need some water to like swim in.
Right.
They
Because ducks.
poop everywhere. And it's
Yeah,
not like a nice little you can clean it up poop. No,
it's everywhere poop.
it's just kind of everywhere. And they need a little more room. They don't just nicely roost at night. Like a chicken will just like, I will just sit in this one spot. I'm chilling all night. It's cool. The duck's like, I wanted this space. And they just wander because they only shut one eye at a time.
Really?
They rest half the brain and then they rest the other half the brain. So they're always kind of awake. And they move around. We watch them in our cameras at night, and you can watch them. They're always aware. Yep, they're
Things you don't know about ducks. See how informative this program is? It's amazing.
informative.
And as long as I've known you and known that you've kept ducks, every time I talk to you, I learn something new about ducks. So
I'm gonna have to come up with another fact for next time now. Hmm.
the day you told me I could buy ducks at Tractor Supply, I about
You
lost my
can.
mind.
Yeah. Well, you need one of those little bitty call ducks. Have you seen those? The little tiny
Mm-mm.
white ducks. They're like
No.
hand size. They are adorable. You need a call duck. Mm-hmm. Because that you could just put a little duck diaper on, have it in your house, have it be your
Oh,
buddy.
ducks in the house, a dream, an
Mm-hmm.
absolute dream. Ducks in the house.
Yep.
Okay, so when I come see you next, we'll talk about those.
Okay.
That'll work. So today you're going to be reading from your picture book called KayKay the Littlest Chicken. And I
Indeed.
have met this little chicken, and she is very
Yes.
tiny and she is very, very cute.
Mm-hmm.
And you also did the illustrations for this book as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
when you're doing a children's book, what's easier for you now that you do both, the art or the story?
Oh heavens, the story. So much easier. It's write that story and then it takes me like 3 months to do because I'm, doing other things. So,
Do you
um,
ever run into the question about what words do I use to make the stories? Is that ever a
so
conflict for
I
you?
wrote when I did the picture books, I just wrote the story. I really didn't sit and scrutinize it too heavily because like I read so much to my kids that
Mm-hmm.
growing up, and granted it's been a hot minute, but I read a lot to them. So when I'm sitting and write a kid's book, I generally know like, oh, that's too big of a word, or shouldn't use that word or whatever. But I just put it on the page and then I give it to other people to read. And I say, okay, people with younger children. And I said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
read this. And is this something you would read to your kids? And are these words seem correct as far as, the the
So
complexity of them.
do you borrow your friends as little people beta readers?
Not so much for these. I more had just had parents and grandparents read them. Um, and if they read them to their little people, great. But it was more to see, they again are probably a little fresher on what they're reading to the little people than mine who are in their
Mm-hmm.
20s now.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but Nugget, the one I did with you already, that one had I have a friend of mine whose child is 8, and so she is reading it with him and has affirmed that it is the correct and right verbosity for him to read. So that is
Nice,
good.
nice. Yeah. Uh, Excellent, excellent. I
Yes.
am looking forward to this. So this is, tell us about KayKay. What
So
is
this
it?
is a true story. I adopted KayKay from someone else who had incubated KayKay, hatched KayKay, with 11 other chickens. So it was one of 12. And in growing up, the first couple days, realized that it had something wrong with it, whether that was initially came out of the egg that way or just initially it was a birth defect or an injury from the other chickens. Not quite sure, but ended up having a slip tendon in the hip. But the person who had incubated the chicken and was initially raising it didn't realize what was going on and couldn't fix it and hadn't fixed it. So by the time it was a couple months old by the time I got it from a Craigslist ad that my niece sent to me and said, "Hey, I know you have chickens and maybe you want this one because it's a special needs chicken. It needs a home." And I'm like,
Absolutely cool that you adopted a special needs chicken.
I know. So I'm like, well, I just had a chicken pass away, so I had an opening for one chicken. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll contact her. And she was telling me about the chicken and she was going on vacation and she had someone chicken sitting for her. And she said, I have this one that's in my house that's special needs now. And I don't want to have this person have to come into my house and take care of the special chicken. I'd rather would just have it go to a home that has, and I have a couple other special chickens. And she's like, if you have a place for it that you could actually just take care of it long term, that'd be great. So she brought it to me for free and said, "Here, please just take care of this chicken." She bequeathed the chicken to me,
How wonderful.
and so it there we have the chicken. And so my mother hen at the time had just finished hatching 2 ducklings for me, and I was giving them to Jules Nelson. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
she wanted some ducklings, so I was giving them to her. And she was coming to pick them up, and so I ended up having this chick at the same time I was transitioning these ducklings to someone else's house. And I said, which my mother chicken, I said, well, you've hatched these babies, and I always give her babies away because she would always hatch ducklings for me, and I don't need to keep more ducklings, but I like to watch the baby ducklings be born and
Yeah,
play
I
with the
would like
baby
to see
ducklings
that
because who
too.
doesn't?
Yeah, right. My
So
first
I
experience with
slipped
playing
this,
with ducklings was euphoric. You saw it. It
yeah,
was, yeah,
yeah.
I was ridiculous.
So I slipped this little chick in who was 2 months old, but was the same size as the
So
one
the
day old
surrogate
ducklings.
mom just said, "Hi, you're
And
my
she just
chicken
took that over
now,"
like,
and
oh, thank goodness I get to actually raise one for once. Thank you.
that's
Yeah. So
fantastic.
that integrated KayKay right into the flock, and Mama Hen was super happy and made everybody stay. So,
That's fantastic. What a great story. And I've met KayKay. When you come to
yes,
see Jean Davis at Michigan author events all over Michigan, she goes everywhere. She frequently brings the chickens with her.
I
So
do typically bring a chicken with me. So Leia has been traveling with me for the most part. Leia is also in KayKay's book. And has her own book. Leia is my super trained chicken to just sit on the table, and she's not a good girl.
she's
She's 5
lovely.
now, so she's just old hat at all this. I'm training some new babies, so you never know who you're gonna meet when you come see me.
But if you want to pet a chicken, this is a place to do it because
It
they're
is.
super soft.
They're super
They're
soft and
super
friendly and
soft.
happy to be
They're
petted and
not
give.
like barnyard chickens. These are special. Did you call them silky
They
chickens?
are silky chickens. They're
They're
bantam chickens. They're
amazing.
about half the size of your typical chicken, and they're silky, so they look like bunnies. They're just
They
fluffy.
they remind
Yes.
me of Muppets because they
Yes,
have
very
those
much
really
like a Muppet
soft,
chicken.
yes, Muppet
Hmm.
chicken. That's what they look like. And they were
Yep.
super soft.
Yes.
Super soft.
And they have
Okay.
great personalities. I mean, I've had some that are
Yeah.
spicy. So when we read the Nugget book, so Nugget was actually handled or modeled after one of my other chickens named Cracker, who was named for a firecracker. She was a spicy little chicken nugget, And so we always refer to her as my spicy chicken nugget, and that's who was the inspiration behind Nugget the chicken. And then KayKay was just a sweetheart, and so was Leia. So I mean, some of them are much more happy to be handled than others.
Well, yeah, aren't we all?
Wow, right, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, people. Yeah.
yeah. So they all
Okay.
have different personalities, but for the most part, Silkies are generally pretty people friendly.
I think it's absolutely amazing that you bring the chickens with you. It's such a cool experience
Well, and it's
that
funny that I
most
actually
of us
have.
don't get, right?
Right, exactly. And I
Yeah.
actually have events that I go to now. They're like, "Can you please bring the chicken?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm just I'm known. I could walk into an event and within the first 20 minutes, I will have at least one person, not necessarily anyone I know, another vendor from another show usually, or somebody coming in. It's the chicken author. The chicken author's here. And I'm like, I do write other
Other
things, but okay.
things, right? Yeah,
But
but
you
all
have
right.
heard of me.
I write about sheep too, but yeah,
Right. God gives sheep. Yes, I do write them
yeah,
too. Yeah, I don't bring
sheep.
them to shows, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it's probably easier to clean up after a chicken than a sheep.
Yes,
It's
yes.
my
And I don't
guess.
actually own sheep. So
I
yeah,
mean,
that
I've never had sheep, but that would be my guess is that
yeah,
they would
I
be,
would imagine probably not as fun. No.
yeah, yeah. I'm super excited for you to read KK's story for us. This is going to be so much fun. Um,
Yes.
Out there in listener land, if you have little people, this would be a really good opportunity to bring them to your screen or turn this on the speakers, or whether you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, bring the little ones around because this is just so much fun. So
And
much
I
fun.
have read this book honestly at preschools, kindergarten, all the way up. I've read it to fourth graders and they loved it. And I thought, is this a little old for fourth graders? But they
I'm
were thrilled.
sorry,
So, okay.
I'm an old person and I enjoy your books about chickens. So I don't think there's an age requirement.
Listen, I just didn't want them to be bored. They were not. They were very happy. So,
Yeah,
and they got to meet KK at the time. So that was
that's
nice.
always happy.
That's right. Yeah.
When you are ready, please, Miss Jean Davis, take the
All right.
microphone and read aloud.
So we will be reading KK, the littlest chicken. I will attempt to hold up the pictures for you as well. 12 eggs sat warm and cozy in an incubator. Their human mom watched anxiously, waiting for her chicken babies to break out of their eggs. The eggs began to hatch. Soon the incubator was filled with 11 happy chicks, but one egg remained unbroken. The human mom waited to hold her new chicken babies. She watched and she waited, and a whole day had gone by. Though the remaining egg had cracked, the last chicken had not yet hatched. After many long hours, a very tired chick popped out of the egg at last. To keep all of her chicks safe and warm, the human mom placed them in a brooder box. They had a warm light, plenty of food and water, and a soft bedding to play in. Over the next several weeks, 11 of the chicks grew fast. They lost their little chick feathers and grew pretty fluffy feathers. Healthy and strong, they all looked down on the littlest chick, who had only a few tufts of white in her yellow fluff. The others could run and scratch in the dirt, but she could only hop around. Poor baby. All the little chick wanted was to play with her friends, but she was small and slow, and it quickly became clear that one of her legs didn't work quite right. The big chicks pecked and chased her because she was different. The human mom hoped that they would all learn to get along, but she didn't want the little chick to get hurt. So she put her in a box all by herself where she would be safe. And while the little chick got lots of snuggles, she missed being with the other chickens. The human mom set out to find a new home where the little chick would be with other chickens who would accept her. An animal loving young woman saw the ad online, and she sent the ad to her aunt, who had all kinds of chickens. It just so happened that there was room for one more chicken in the coop. The little chick went to her new home and she was scared. She didn't mind the new human, but what if these new chickens were mean too? Hello? Her new human gave her lots of snuggles and put her on the floor of the new coop. Your name is KayKay, she said. KayKay had a name before. She liked it. This is your new family. The human gave her a push towards the weirdest chickens KayKay had ever seen. They made quacking noises, but they seemed friendly. This is your new mom, Hennifer, said the human. Though KayKay was 2 months old, she was the same size as the 1-day-old quacking chickens. She followed them over to sit underneath Hennifer's wing. It was warm and cozy under the new chicken mom's fluffy feathers. She wasn't scared anymore, and KayKay discovered she could make happy clucking noises. A few days after KayKay settled in with Hennifer, the quacking chickens went to a new home. With only one chick to care for, Hennifer took KayKay outside. She taught KayKay how to scratch in the ground with her good foot to find the very best bugs. Once KayKay was used to her new home, the other chickens who normally lived with Hennifer were allowed back in their usual area of the coop. Not only did KayKay have a chicken mom, she now had an aunt and a grandma. Aunt Leia spent the afternoons with KayKay. She showed her places to hide from the big chickens and the ducks that sometimes picked on the other ones because they were smaller. Then she taught KayKay how to be very still when hawks flew over, or deer, or turkey, or dogs came too close. Aunt Leia didn't mind that KayKay walked slower because of her leg. And there's Leia and KayKay. Grandma Limpy was the oldest chicken in the flock. Her legs didn't work right anymore, so she couldn't roost with the big chickens. On cold nights, she let Hennifer, Leia, and KayKay snuggle close under her big wings to stay warm in their straw bed. In the mornings, when the whole flock went out to the yard, Grandma Limpy fluffed up her feathers to make herself look even bigger. She kept the other chickens away so the small chickens could eat all they wanted. KayKay was still the littlest chicken in the flock, but she had a big family who loved her very much. And there are all the chickens and the ducks. And there is KayKay from the front cover picture. An actual picture of KayKay.
She is a very, very sweet little chicken.
Yes.
She's wonderful. I love the quacking chickens. I think that's what we have to call them now.
Yep. Quacking chickens.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming back on the program to read to me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
And we will see you out in the world in Michigan. Are you going anywhere in? I mean, I know you said your calendar is super, super full. But,
yes, I am everywhere. I am actually in
everywhere,
Michigan.
Or are you just in the west south part of Michigan? Where are you?
I am all over Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio.
Oh, so not just one state, you're everywhere.
Oh, I'm in 4 states this year. So I am actually everywhere from the Upper Peninsula. I am on the east, the west of Michigan. I am north and south Indiana, and then I'm in Toledo and also in Columbus, Ohio. So
if people want to find out more, I have your website in the show notes.
Yes, on my website is the entire list of all the places I will be. I try to keep that updated for the most part. And I'm a little bit of everywhere. So yeah, feel free to stop by and pet a chicken.
Pet a chicken. Why would you want to turn down that opportunity?
It'll be one of the few events. I don't always have a chicken, but most of the time I do have a chicken.
And we can check the website to find those. You can find Jean's website in the show notes for today's episode. Thank you so much, Jean. I appreciate you coming back.